There are fewer than 350 North Atlantic right whales remaining in the world, leaving this endangered species on the brink of extinction. Furthermore, right whales are threatened by anthropogenic extinction, which is human-caused extinction that appears to stem from anthropocentrism. From this perspective, humans are the only beings that have moral standing, in which humans put themselves and their needs above all other elements. The extinction of right whales has become a product of human interaction with the whale's aquatic environment, leaving them helpless as climate change, ocean noise, vessel strikes, and entanglements threaten their existence. Changes in North Atlantic right whale migration patterns due to climate change reveal the detrimental effects of anthropogenic extinction on this species, as well as how some organizations are working to mitigate these effects and protect the rights of these whales through a zoocentrism approach. Climate change is the single most destructive cause of North Atlantic right whale extinction. Warming oceans due to climate change affect the seasonal migration patterns of the right whale, putting them in harm's way. The image in the top right corner illustrates the trend of warming oceans on the coast of New England as a result of climate change. Warming oceans, a consequence of climate change, are forcing right whales to migrate earlier and farther from their traditional feeding and breeding grounds to find enough food. The feeding grounds of right whales are in the waters of Canada and New England, and their breeding grounds are in the waters surrounding South Carolina, Georgia, and northeast Florida, as shown in the top left image. As a result of changing seasonal migration patterns, right whales have been spending more time in areas with fewer safeguards from vessel strikes and entanglements. Birthing mothers of right whales are taking longer to calve than previous years as well, and are lacking adequate nutritional support because they cannot find food as easily in their traditional feeding grounds. The anthropogenic extinction of North Atlantic right whales is caused by three additional factors: ocean noise, vessel strikes, and entanglements. An uncommonly thought of threat to right whales is ocean noise, specifically stemming from human activity on the water, including shipping, construction, boating, and energy exploration. Noise from such activities can interrupt the natural behavior of right whales and interfere with their communication. These disruptions pose serious hazards to this disappearing species because it interferes with their ability to identify various threats, such as vessels and predators, navigating waters, find food, and finding mates. Vessel strikes are another leading cause of right whale extinction. With right whale migration patterns residing close to shorelines and shipping ports, these whales are increasingly vulnerable to vessel strikes. Vessel strikes are very dangerous to whales and can result in broken bones, massive internal injuries, and cuts from propellers. Perhaps an even greater threat to North Atlantic right whales is entanglements, in which NOAA estimates that over 85% of right whales have been involved in an entanglement at least once in their life. Entanglements in fishing line and gear can severely cut whales, resulting in infections and death. Even if the whales get untangled, the stress that they were under from the initial entanglement can have lasting impacts, including weakening of the whale, preventing it from eating, and disabling it from swimming or reproducing. Right whale population decline can be linked back to the whaling industry. Right whales originally got their name for being the right whale to hunt, since they would float when they were killed. Humans hunted right whales purely for anthropocentrism reasons, meaning that the moral value of the North Atlantic right whale was never taken into consideration, only the value that they brought to humans through the use of blubber and oil for lighting. Right whales were nearly hunted to their depletion in the interest of humans, representing the tragedy of the commons. Since no one owns the ocean, there is no limit to the hunting of right whales, and with no regulations in place, hunters overexploited right whales until they were dangerously close to extinction. Right whales have never recovered to their pre-whaling population size. Anthropogenic extinction, also known as Holocene extinction, is a period of mass extinction from the Earth primarily due to human activity. Considering the threats to right whales and that they are all human-caused, right whales are dangerously close to anthropogenic extinction. Many humans have adopted an anthropocentrism point of view, where humans view themselves as the singular most important being in the universe, in which all other forms of life are disregarded as inferior. Often ignoring the ecological context altogether, many supporters of anthropocentrism develop a fixation of money or economic status, where they look at how many trees they can chop down or how many waterfront homes can be built to support the growth of their business, without looking at the devastating impacts their self-centered actions will have on other species and ecosystems, such as the right whale. Similarly, the belief that animals have extrinsic value is represented by anthropocentrism. Extrinsic value is the belief that something is valuable as a means to something else. So when whalers hunted right whales for their resources, they did not take the right whale's intrinsic value into consideration, or the belief that right whales have value in and of themselves. Only viewing the extrinsic value of right whales has led to their near extinction today. Diving into environmental ethics, the moral role that humans play in the natural environment could be explored to better understand our relationship to right whales. This raises the question, do humans have a moral responsibility to protect right whales? Policies such as the Marine Mammal Protection Act and Endangered Species Act can be used to strengthen environmental ethics, providing a basis for critical reasoning in which people feel compelled to advocate the moral status of animals. This embraces a zoocentrism perspective, in which both human and non-human animals are said to have equal moral status if the non-human animals possess the psychological property of sentience. When animals can feel pain and pleasure like humans can, it can be argued that they are entitled to the same moral respect. Anthropocentrism fosters an extrinsic value of right whales, in which right whales are viewed as valuable solely for the benefit they bring to humans. The research presented throughout this paper reveals that an anthropocentrism perspective may be detrimental to the future of the North Atlantic right whale as they near closer and closer to extinction. Due to this human-centered view that many humans have adopted since the whaling industry began, right whales are still being harmed by human actions today. Climate change, ocean noise, vessel strikes, and entanglements are among the leading causes of right whale deaths and decline of calves produced. Climate change may induce the greatest threat to right whales as warming oceans affect right whale migration patterns, furthering putting the endangered species in harm's way as they make their way closer to human activity towards coastal shorelines. However, a zoocentrism approach can be used in the creation of arguments that support the rights of North Atlantic right whales for the value they possess in and of themselves as sentient beings. Many activists for animal rights claim that animals have the same emotional and psychological capacity as humans, and therefore they should be treated equally as humans. Arguing that right whales should have the same moral respect as humans can foster the moral responsibility humans have to protect right whales, and may instill change in people. Such a zoocentrism take on normative ethics to argue for how humans ought to act towards right whales is implemented by NOAA, Center for Coastal Studies, and the International Fund for Animal Welfare. For example, NOAA has implemented regulations on vessel speed restrictions, requiring that all vessels 65 feet or longer must slow down to 10 knots or less in certain right whale protected areas along the U.S. coast. The image on the bottom left corner depicts slow zones on the coast of New England. A recent slow zone was put into effect west of Martha's Vineyard as right whales were spotted, helping to alleviate the effects of human action on the North Atlantic right whale. Center for Coastal Studies has created a right whale emergency initiative in response to the right whale crisis, expanding their aerial survey area from Cape Cod Bay to waters east of the Cape and north of Jeffreys Ledge off Massachusetts and New Hampshire coast. This allows activists to expand mariner slow zone warnings, improve regulations, find and free right whales from entanglements more efficiently, and raise awareness of North Atlantic right whale endangerment. Center for Coastal Studies speaks to their mission of preserving and protecting marine species as they promote environmental stewardship and develop policies to make positive change in response to the right whale crisis. North Atlantic right whales are undeniably in serious endangerment as a result of an anthropocentrism perspective, but many local and national organizations are taking necessary action through environmental policy to protect anthropogenic extinction among the species. Thank you.